And the presentation slides will also be available on the College of Engineering and Architecture website afterwards. So you'll be able to, again, pick up on any of the information that you might miss here. Now, as you probably heard at the start of that, we have quite a lot of people on the session today, well over 300. So we're not going to do questions and answers at this session because it will be a little bit difficult to manage. Instead, this afternoon, you'll all be going into your program sessions where there'll be smaller groups and you'll be with the other students that you're going to be studying with over the next 4 or 5 years. And that's the opportunity that you'll have to ask questions of your program directors, and also they'll be able to answer some of those questions a little bit better than myself because they'll have a greater awareness of the particular programs that you're in. For your best viewing experience, make sure you're in speaker view mode, which you can toggle in the right hand corner of your screen. Couple of other reminders. I can see people raising hands, so I'm just going to say again, we're not going to take questions in this session. We will take them in the program questions afterwards, because we now have 383 participants now. So maybe if you don't raise your hand in this session and wait to ask your questions in the program sessions later on this afternoon. Okay, so some COVID-19 reminders. So obviously we're not on campus yet, but we are hoping that we'll be able to bring you onto campus very soon. And labs, etc., and studios for our architecture and planning students, labs for our engineering students will be taking place on campus very soon as well. Not in the first week, but very, very soon they will be taking place on campus. So when you do get the opportunity to come to campus, there are a few just safety precautions and a few reminders that we need to put you in place. Sorry, Erin, there's a question from one of the students saying that they can't see the speaker view at the moment, so they may not be able to see the slides. We haven't actually started going through the slides yet, so we'll try to get that sorted out beforehand. I'll just give you the reminder about our COVID health and safety regulations on campus while we're waiting for that. So if you feel unwell, okay, or you are awaiting the results of a COVID test, as with everywhere else, whether when you were at school or whatever, you don't come into campus in that situation, okay? So please don't come to campus if you're feeling unwell or you're awaiting the results of a COVID test. You must bring a mask with you when attending campuses, because masks are required in all the buildings on campus at the moment. You will receive UCD masks, okay? So we will have UCD branded masks for all students, but please bring a mask on the first day, and please make sure you bring a mask every day when you come into the campus to go in and out of buildings. If you've just accepted your offer from UCD yesterday or today, please be patient. You will receive an official UCD welcome email, and at that point you can also email colleen.doyle@ucd.ie. So you may not have caught that. That's Colleen, COLLEN .doyle, DOYLE @ucd.ie. because she's our student advisor in the College of Engineering and Architecture, and she's arranging to meet with those people who are registering a bit late next Monday. So please do send her an email. If there's any reason that you can't physically attend labs or studios, please contact the program office. You're going to get those contact details today, or our student advisor. You know, in particular, if you feel that you're in a vulnerable group and you can't attend on campus, please let us know as soon as possible so we can look into what can be done for you. And if you see something scheduled in your timetable, be available during those times. So even if it's something that's happening off campus, you should be available to log in for those things. And finally, the last thing I'm going to say before we move into our presentation proper is we also have a UCD laptop loan scheme is now available for applications, and it is mean tested, but there is information available on the UCD website, and we might make that available to all the students after this as well, about that laptop loan scheme. Okay, so can everybody see the slides now, Erin? Are we sure? There's a few messages coming in on chat there,
yeah. I think Katie O'Neill's joining us this morning as well. She's confirmed that they can't see it. So I think it is individuals' settings on people's own view.
Okay, so if you can't see them, please just check your settings again by moving up to your arrow to your cursor up to the right hand corner of your screen. You'll get a little thing called view. If you click on that, you should be able to pick speaker view from that point there. Okay, so you should be able to see it if you pick it and set it in your own screen there. Okay, so moving on to the slides, as I've just said, I've already introduced everybody and told you what the timetable is, so we'll move on to the next slide there. Thanks, Deborah. Okay, as we said, welcome to UCD. Our College of Engineering and Architecture is a very international college, and you're going to meet students, in particular when things are back to normal and there's more engagement and travel across the world again. You will meet students from all over the world. And we had students from USA, Guyana, Egypt, China. We have a lot of strong links in with China, and from all over the European Union countries as well. We have very good diversity in the college, something that engineering wasn't always well known for in the past, but 29% of our first year students are female. And in APEP, which is our architecture, planning and environmental policy part of our college, 47% of our first year students are female. So for me, just to give you a little bit of my background, so I did a degree in civil engineering in Trinity College Dublin, graduating in 1998. And from then on, I went on to University College London, where I did a PhD, finishing in 2001, again in civil engineering, and I specialised in transportation engineering when I was there. And for the last 20 years, which makes me feel extremely old when I say that I've been working in academia for 20 years, I was first of all a lecturer in Trinity College, before joining UCD in 2003. And before taking on this role, I was the head of the School of Civil Engineering for 4 years. And since 2019, I have been the college principal in the College of Engineering and Architecture and the Dean of Engineering as well. So there's our pictures looking, you can see me there. That's Professor Eva Ahern, other people that are important and that you will be meeting at some point over the next few days. And when you come to UCD, we have an Associate Dean of Engineering, who is Associate Professor David Timoney. And for those of you who are on the APEP side of our college, our Dean of Architecture, Planning and Environmental Policy is Professor Mark Scott. And they'll be very engaged with you over your time here at UCD as well. So the College of Engineering and Architecture is spread in quite a lot of different buildings across the university campus. And here's a map of the UCD campus that you can see here. Just to the north of that map, you can see the N11 and the main entrance into UCD, which many of you will have known, which you might have come through when you were coming here for open days or for tours of the campus. And the building that most people associate with engineering probably and are most aware of is our Engineering and Material Science building over to the to one side of that map. And there are three of our schools in the College of Engineering and Architecture are located in this building. Mechanical, electronic and electrical, and chemical engineering are based in that school, but are in that building. But our other schools are a little bit more spread out across the campus. As you move across that map, you'll see that in the Agricultural and Food Science Centre, one of our schools, which is the School of Biosystems Engineering, is located in a building across there. We have some labs and some research facilities in science. As we move further across over to the Clonskea end of UCD campus, we have our Civil Engineering School and also Landscape Architecture are based in the Newstead building. And at the very, very edge, as we get over towards Clonskea, Architecture, Planning and Environmental Policy are based in our Richview campus. So you'll get very fit when you come to campus in UCD and you're walking between different lectures around the place. So the welcome booklet can be downloaded and that will have information for you, very important information. So I do ask you to look at this very carefully about registration, about IT services and how you can access those and what kind of IT services are available, about fees information, etc. And also about campus life, because we have an awful lot of facilities on campus, many of which are open. For example, the gym is still open on campus at the moment. And as we get through this current situation, more and more of those different facilities are starting to open up. And for example, we have a lot of students currently living on campus. So a lot of facilities are actually open and you will be able to access those when you come to campus. And there's different guides that you can find. The website is there, which tell you how to register online, how to fill in your complete leave of absence forms, where there are different talks, etc. Really important to look at those guides and to get used to them. You may not need all of that information right now, but I think this is a really important thing to keep a record of this website, because you never know when you might want a piece of this information or when you might want some help in filling in some of these forms as you go through your college career. The student charter is a very important piece of information. It was really summarizes, as the slide says, the aspirations and expectations for all members of our university community. So what it really tells you is what you can expect from us as your college, giving you an education and providing you with programs, but also what we expect from you and what kind of behavior we expect from you while you're here in UCD. So moving on to the next slide there, Deborah. So yeah, as I just said, it sets out the roles and responsibilities of the staff, the academic staff, the faculty towards you, what you can expect from us, and then in return, what we expect from you and what we hope that your behavior will be like while you're here at UCD. Okay, so what if things go wrong? What if there's a difficulty with academic progression? So we have something called a continuation procedure. And what I'd like to emphasize about the continuation procedure is that if things are going wrong academically, or if you are having difficulties, the earlier or the sooner that you engage with your module coordinators, with your academic staff, with the program office, your school office, the better. Because the sooner we have some idea that things are going wrong, the more we can help you, and the easier it is for us to help you before you get to a point where it's become extremely difficult, or where you can't actually, where you feel that it's going to be harder to resolve. So going through those steps, if you fail to achieve 2/3 of your available trimester credits and things are going wrong for you in a trimester, we don't just leave it at that point. We start to try to engage with you straight away, and you'll receive a written notification, which is an academic warning. And at that point, an appointment will be made for you to sit down with a staff member in the program that you're working in to look at what can we do, or what can you do with us to try to get over that issue and to try to resolve what's happened for you. So we'll sit down and devise a plan of action with you, and we'll agree specific timelines, a specific time frame and goals that you need to achieve in order to get through this. We then, if we move on into our second intervention, sorry, Deborah, if you could go back. If that doesn't work, and if we find that you're not meeting those targets, those goals within the approved time frame, you receive notification of academic probation. So this escalates the thing up a little bit more than it was before. And at that point, rather than just meeting the staff member, you'll meet with me or with a nominee, or if you're an APEP, you'll meet with Professor Mark Scott or one of his nominees. And again, we sit down and we try to devise a plan of action. Again, agreeing specific targets for the modules and a time frame, and looking at that, and maybe in a little bit more detail. But it has escalated up at that point to a little bit more serious, because you are working with the dean rather than just at a school level or at a program level. Now, as we go on, if you've been on academic probation for a period of 2 consecutive trimesters after the time frame has been agreed, and you haven't achieved things in that time frame, then we might recommend discontinuation to the Standing Committee for Continuation or Readmission. And what happens then, that they look at your case, and you'll be notified in writing of the committee's decision, which could be a permission to continue in the program. There might be different criteria there, or some kind of expectations there, or if it really looks like someone's not going to be able to get through, that there might be excluded from the program. But again, I want to emphasize, we really want to try and intervene before anything like that happens, so that we can help you and we can work together on trying to resolve issues early on before they become extremely serious. Okay, we can move on, Deborah. So COVID-19, obviously, this is the reality of the world that we're living in at the moment. And there are a lot of questions I can see coming through in the chat already about things going on with COVID-19. For example, what happens if you miss lectures, etc. Most lectures are being recorded this year, but ask those questions again at your program sessions this afternoon, specifically about what's happening. But it will be possible in most cases for you to be able to catch up on those lectures, in particular if you are ill with COVID, because you should not be coming in if you are ill, or if you suspect you have COVID, or you're waiting for a test. So there are a lot of frequently asked questions that are coming up all over the place from students about what to do in particular scenarios with COVID-19, what the impacts are for you in terms of campus life and student life. So there is a link available on the slides here, and which I would strongly urge you go and look at and see if that answers any of the questions that you have. If it doesn't, come back to us. But most of the answers for questions you might have can be found on those frequently asked questions. There's also teaching on campus information, which again, I ask you to go and have a look at, but also with both of these websites, you need to be going on looking at them quite regularly, because they get updated very frequently. As the situation changes at a national level, obviously we need to change things at a university level as well, and we need to respond to those kind of national level changes. So please keep an eye on those frequently asked questions, constantly go back and look at them, and at the teaching on campus, because you need to keep yourself up to date on what might be happening in response to the COVID situation in the country at the moment. I also already alluded to the fact that there are amenities available on campus. There are supports available on campus, for example, counselling support, etc., much of which can currently be accessed online rather than requiring your physical presence. So again, make sure you look at what campus amenities and supports are available on campus. And again, continue to look at that page throughout your time, because it will be updated as things change and resolve. And I already mentioned about your student code of conduct, etc. With COVID, there are different expectations or additional expectations required from students than there would be normally in terms of behaviour. For example, ensuring that you wear your face mask when you're in buildings, ensuring that you maintain social distancing with your classmates in lectures, etc. when you are back in lectures. And spaces are marked out in lecture theatres and in different parts of the building to ensure that you keep that. You'll see signs up telling you how to walk through buildings. There's lots of dispensers with soap, etc. throughout the building. So there are expectations of you, however, as well, in terms of ensuring that you comply with the regulations regarding trying to keep all of us, yourselves, staff, etc., safe while you're on campus or in our buildings. And there is a short guide for students returning to campus or students coming to the campus for the very first time, so that, again, you are ready for when you come onto campus. So please make sure you look at that before you come into UCD for the very first time, so you know what you need to do when you come into campus. Okay, wear a mask is obviously the most important thing, and you are expected to wear a mask while you're indoors in our campus buildings. Okay, so what are the more pleasant things to talk about in terms of architecture, planning, environmental policy and engineering in UCD? So one of the big and most popular things that's available for us in UCD is the UCD Study Abroad. And these are opportunities for you to go abroad to do a semester or a whole year, for example. And depending on what program you're in, it's available at different stages. So in engineering, it's available in stages 2 and 3, architecture stage 4, landscape architecture stage 3, and city planning and environmental policy stage 3. And there are particular academic requirements that you need to meet in order to be able to do that study abroad. Again, your program directors will be able to tell you a little bit more about what those are. But in engineering, it's a minimum grade C and a minimum stage GPA of 3.08. And again, you'll be told a little bit more about what GPAs, etc., what those mean. So don't worry about them too much at the moment, because I know you're not really, it's not a term you will have used that much while you were in school. So our exchange opportunities are all over the world. A lot of our students go to the States, but there are also lots of opportunities in the EU, in China, Australia as well. And in addition to students going away to those universities, we also, in those particular stages, have quite a substantial number of students coming from those countries into UCD. So whether you go on an exchange or whether you stay in UCD, the opportunities to meet lots of people from lots of different countries around the world within your program will always be there. Okay, so the Engineering and Architecture Office are going to take over now, and I'm going to pass on to Erin to speak. Okay.
Great. Thanks very much, Aoife. Just before my colleague Deborah gives you a bit more information about our college office and how it supports you, I just quickly wanted to introduce myself. My name is Erin O'Malley. I'm the Programme Manager for the Architecture, Landscape Architecture, City Planning and Environmental Policy Programmes. And as Deborah will go through the supports we offer you, I wanted to highlight that the Engineering Architecture College Office is your office, and there are staff within that team who are dedicated to working with your programmes. So along with me is my colleague Valerie Kenton, who you can see on the screen there, and he'll give you a lot more information. We're going to be at each of your programme information sessions this afternoon, at the start of each of the 3 information sessions this afternoon, so we'll go into a bit more detail now rather than taking up too much time here. So that's really from me. I'll hand you over to Deborah Heaney now. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Erin. Hi, everybody. My name is Deborah Heaney, and I'm the Programme and Operations Manager for Engineering. So I'm just going to take you through a few slides to introduce you to the College Office team and the role that we perform for you as students. So, as Erin mentioned, there's myself and Erin as managers here, and there's a director of the College of Engineering and Architecture. His name is Sue Philpott. And there's also a team of administrators here working on the ground. So we have Caroline, Paula, Claudia and Valerie, who's here today. So we all are working together to try and support you as you go through your degree programme. Primarily, the best way to contact us is through our student connector. And as you can see here, there's also a QR code, so you can scan it through on your mobile phone, and it's on our College of Engineering and Architecture website. So ideally, you should submit any queries that you have through the connector. So the idea is that we will be able to capture your name, student number, and broadly speaking, what your query is. So if you could submit as many details as possible in order for us to be able to help you. At the moment, we're obviously all working remotely, so the connector is inundated, I would say. So if you can be as patient as possible, we will get to you as soon as we possibly can. So just to say, other ways of contact, we have an email address, eng.arc@ucd.ie. And at the moment, we don't have a drop-in service. So our office is not open to the public. Now, obviously, with government restrictions and whatever changes may come down the line, we do hope to resume opening our office to drop-ins for queries from students. In terms of face-to-face, obviously, we would still like to provide a face-to-face facility for students to come into us. So we can offer face-to-face through Zoom, but we can also offer a face-to-face appointment. If you really do want to come in and have a chat with any of the team, we can do that. We can book a room and we can have it social distancing. There's no issue there. But again, use the connector to request this, and we'll be able to come back to you on that. So what are we? Well, we're really a one-stop shop for all queries in relation to your program. We're also a signposting. So for example, you may look for a form to be signed, which you'd be directed to the student desk. You may need to speak to your student advisor, Colleen Doyle. You may want to speak to an academic member of staff. So we're also there to guide you to whatever directions you need to go into. But please, we can be still the first point of contact here. So we are located in the Engineering and Materials Science Centre. So that is on the first floor, up the steps in the engineering building. We're very easy to find. We have a big swing door, but you'll have to take my word for it until you're able to come in and have a look for yourselves. So I suppose more specifically, what type of help can we offer you? So registration queries at the moment, hopefully most of you have had an opportunity to go online and look at your registration and how this is done, but you probably will come across queries. So you may have queries with the online registration. You might wonder what option that you have to choose. You might experience a capacity issue with an elective module that you might want to choose, or a time conflict between a lab and a tutorial. So again, we're here to help you with that. I guess more specifically, we can go into detail in your program briefings this afternoon in engineering and for architecture, landscape architecture, etc. So I won't go into too much detail here. Examination process, so we're quite heavily involved in the examination process also. So you are going to have questions about exams, when they take place, how they're going to take place. What if I fail a module? How do I resit it? What's the difference between a resit and a repeat? So all this jargon will become much more familiar to you as you go along. Extenuating circumstances. Unfortunately, some students are going to experience extenuating circumstances as they go through their program. And there is a university policy on extenuating circumstances. So if you do experience circumstances that are affecting your exams or affecting your studies, there is a facility for you to be able to advise us of that. It's an online form, and it's through your SIS web. But again, guidance can be got from ourselves and from your student advisor and the academic members of staff also. So generally student support, so we can offer you academic advice. We can send you to an academic member of staff if you have very specific guidance that you need. We can talk to you about leave of absences. We can talk to you about a reduced workload. We can talk to you about if you've changed your mind between one program and another. So really anything that deals with progression through your program, that's our job, to try and help you through that. And obviously we have a pastoral care role in trying to offer a holistic view for the students. Just briefly, in terms of your electives, so that it's not causing confusion, your elective is chosen in January. So registration will open up in January 2021 so that you can choose an elective in spring. So it's not available for you to choose just at the moment. So again, there's a huge range of undergraduate degree elective modules that you can choose from. I suppose the main thing is that it fits into your timetable and that there are places available in the elective and that you have the requirements for it. So again, we can give you assistance with this. There's a huge amount of electives through the Applied Language Centre as well, so they're very interesting. Maybe you can have a look at those. Just some dates. So registration, I suppose, closes on the 9th of October. So that's a really important date for your diary. Fee payment deadline is Sunday, the 27th. So this Sunday, the fees are due to be paid. And your first day is the following day, which is Monday, the 28th of September, online. And just to say a little bit about communications. So the UCD Connect email is really the primary channel for official UCD communications. And it's also what we would use to communicate with you. So it is really your responsibility to regularly check your UCD Connect, make sure that you're up to date with all the announcements and notices, particularly at the moment with there being so many changes in relation to the pandemic. So please make sure you check in daily on your UCD Connect account.
So thank you everybody for attending. That was a little bit, it was only half an hour rather than the full hour, but enjoy your sessions this afternoon and very best of luck in your studies here at UCD. And I hope that eventually we get to meet you on campus. I'm looking very much forward to meeting you at that time. And I hope that you have very successful careers here at UCD. Thank you everybody. Bye-bye.